All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I interviewed Tyler Grunendahl. I'm actually in costume as Tyler Grunendahl right now. And let's see, what can I tell you about Tyler Grunendahl? He was a senior at South Christian High School when I was a freshman. And he was, he directed a one-act play I was in. He actually really helped kindle my love for theater. And I borrowed a lot from him in my portrayal of Sandy in the Philadelphia Story. Like in terms of like rate of speed when he talks and like vocal quality and even a lot of his mannerisms that he has, I put into Sandy. And he runs an onion ring review blog and he's very passionate about it, so that's what I asked him about. That's what we're going to talk about today. Kind of get the mindset. My name is Tyler Grunendahl. I'm 23 years old. I like cats and the music of Richie Blackmore, and I'm an onion ring connoisseur. I've known Josh for many years at South Christian High School, acted in similar plays. I directed him in a playbill my senior year, and known him for about 6, 7 years, I guess. Sola Capa is, in one sense, it's just a blog. In another sense, it's a food review site. In a third sense, it is my grand endeavor and what I hope to leave the world when I die. Ultimately, it is a site that exists exclusively to review onion rings for the purpose of judging the quality of different restaurants. I submit that the onion ring is a proxy for the quality of all the food at a particular restaurant. I call it the onion ring standard. Sola Capa is Latin for onion alone. The onion ring standard got to start at the place where I think to this day they have the best onion rings, Saucy Dog's Barbecue in Jonesville, Michigan. I didn't used to eat a lot of onion rings. They didn't used to be something I loved. They didn't used to be something I was passionate about. I guess I would eat them if they were in front of me. I didn't care about them. But one day, on a whim, my freshman year of college, I go to this restaurant and I get the onion rings. And they honestly blow my mind. I had no idea onion rings could taste this good or taste like that, and I just had to have more of them. And that's when I discovered a correlation. It started as a observation, really. Restaurants that had good onion rings tended to have good other things. So the question became, is there any sort of correlation or causation between the two? And my goal throughout this entire endeavor was to analyze that. You judge the quality of a restaurant solely based on the quality of the onion rings. My logic behind this is, if you put a reasonable amount of care into your onion rings, you hand make them, you hand batter them, you hand fry them, you make sure they have a good fry time, you plate them well, chances are you have a competent staff, you care about the food that you put out, and you're passionate about it. On the other hand, if they're clearly frozen, if they clearly came out of a bag 5 minutes ago and they're on my plate like that, what else on the menu is frozen? What else is made with such little care? What else don't you care about? So the idea is, it's a proxy for other things. The worst onion ring I've ever had was at a place called Sweet Meat Smokehouse at Fifth Third Ballpark, home of the West Michigan Whitecaps. I was there with a group called the America's Future Foundation. We were at like a social media event, so we bought a lot of seats and we all went there to the stadium to hang out. And I did extensive research beforehand. Where are their onion rings? I found them. I went to get them. I should mention, it was $2 beer night. So you could get a relatively copious amount of domestic beer, which I took advantage of. And even then, even with that happy state I was in, with that slight little buzz, I had these onion rings, and they were without a doubt the most greasy piece of trash, pile of broken sand onion rings I've ever seen. It was horrific. Let me check my notes. That's right, there's a picture on the blog. It's like a little cracked styrofoam bowl with not even onion rings. What used to be onion rings, but are now cracked and broken and ruined and shoved into a greasy pile. The texture was horrific. It was gritty, it was sandy, it was dirty. There was nothing redeeming about it. And the sheer amount of grease, I swear, there was a puddle of grease in the bottom of the bowl after the fact. They were hot and greasy. And that's it. That's really the only quality they had. I think they were like a 6.5, 6 out of 20. By far, just unappealing, unappetizing, would never ever get again. A close second would be the Choo Choo Grill, where I physically saw them take them out of a frozen bag and fry them in front of me, and that was just disappointing. It really bummed me out. The worst onion rings tend to be fried or frozen, I should say. They tend to be frozen. But you can salvage that. You can make sure they're plated well. You can make sure they have good fry time. Sweetmeat Smokehouse at Fifth Third Ballpark did none of these things. It was despicable. And I remember how awful they taste in my mouth to this day. So, pardon me. Think about growing an onion. Think about everything it takes to grow an onion. Think about the farmer, think about the fertilizer, think about the farming equipment, think about the shipping, think about the man who sells the diesel to power the tractor. It goes on and on and on, pretty much indefinitely. Okay, so now you harvest the onion. Okay, where does it go after that? It goes to restaurants, goes to grocery stores, goes to food distributors, shipping to get there, shipping to get from. And now you have to turn the onion into onion rings. So you chop it up using a nice metal knife, and you bread them, and you fry them, and you serve them. To me, it's a story of transformation. To me, that's what markets are. To me, that's what freedom is. It's you take raw materials and you turn them into something a consumer can use. And that's what I think about the onion ring. And it's a quintessentially capitalist thing, because they're not that nutritious, they're not that calorie dense either. Like, it's not something a starving person would eat. Like, if you're scraping at the edge of survival, that's not the food you would go for. But the fact that we take these onions and we make them, and people are willing to purchase them in restaurants just as a pure luxury thing, to me that speaks of an unmatched and unbelievable era of prosperity in human history. These are literally things that grow in the ground, and we take them and we make something tasty and delicious, and to me, very inspiring. So that's the core of it. How are we doing on time? Is that up to all you need? All right, well, thanks for thinking of me. This was fun. All right, take care. Peace out.